What are some of the characteristics that you see from someone you're going to go help? What would you normally see, right? And I'm talking about the people who you continuously have to go to. Because there's going to be people like, unfortunately, I've seen the rescue at my house more than a few times. Yeah. Not consecutively, but like I'm sure there's people that you keep going back to. What if they're not ready to change? How detrimental is it to a child who grows up in an environment that's not conducive to them being positive? What would you want somebody to be thinking when they hear hypnosis? And you would tell me before that there have been studies done?
Many.
The effectiveness. Can you just kind of give me a brief?
Thousands and thousands. Can I give a shameless plug to my website? Mm-hmm. Because there's a research. If you want to go, wildsolutions.com, and there's a research link separated by whatever your goals are: smoking cessation, weight loss, sports performance.
So is there one study for that you would like everyone to know about, right? This is the study that was the most beneficial, the seminal study for hypnosis.
There isn't that one. No, I don't think I can answer that.
Okay. Is there one that you really like?
Well, it's about, I have a few depending on what, obviously I know ahead of time what clients are coming to see me for. There is a great one about weight loss. The women who receive hypnosis with their, I don't know why they only tested this on women, but women who receive hypnosis.
Because men don't often ask for help, especially with weight loss.
Yes. Okay. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Who added hypnosis to their existing routine. Okay. I'm not talking about just hypnosis alone, but added it to their existing routine. Lost 34 times as much weight. And there's incredible results. And like I said, it's all, you can see it on my website. You can look it up yourself. Keeping the weight off longer after the dieting period. One of the things that I think is most interesting about the hypnosis, and I can't think of the university that did the study right now, but they found that it drastically decreases the recovery time from what they call slips. If somebody stops coming to class, or they fall off their diet, and how long that period is before they get back on the horse, so to speak.
So I believe that everything is vibration, right?
Yes.
And through my studies, I've heard that even weight is a vibration.
Yes.
Right? Because we're reinforcing how we feel.
Yes.
And when we keep reinforcing how we feel, then our beliefs will dictate how we act. Right? So if I believe that I should go over there and do X, Y, and Z, and my business is going to grow, I'm going to go over there and do it.
Right.
If I feel that I shouldn't do that because my business will not grow and people won't like me, I won't do that. Right? So your beliefs,
Absolutely.
And so what I've heard is that since weight is a vibration, if you can actually change the belief about your weight in you, and I'm talking like I weigh 180, but now I weigh 160.
Right.
Then your body will actually follow suit.
Yes.
Right? And think about that for a second.
Oh, there's studies that have been done on hypnosis. Sorry, I keep shaking the microphone. There's studies that have been done on hypnosis where people have multiple personality disorder. There's a case where a man is an insulin-dependent diabetic in one personality. He can be in the other personality for days and not take insulin.
Yep, they had that with cancer.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if I'm remembering correctly, one personality had cancer, the second one did not. Yeah. When they did the MRI, it was gone. Or it was a brain tumor, maybe. It was something where I think they did the MRI on one personality, and I think it was the brain tumor was there, or the cancer, or whatever. And then the other one, it wasn't. Oh. Same guy. It was not long after.
Right.
So like, there's no explanation for that other than belief.
Yes.
And vibration.
There's an incredible, I can't think of the name of it right now. Maybe if I can email it to you later, you could throw it in the notes if this gets, of a guy who worked repairing refrigerator train cars. And he thought that he repaired the freezer car on a train and was trapped in. And he froze to death. They did an autopsy. He froze to death. He didn't repair the freezer. It was not working. He froze to death because he knew that he was going to freeze to death.
This wasn't in like Alaska?
No.
Okay. I was just making sure.
If people would ask me. Yes, absolutely. I'm ill prepared to discuss it. But
so one of the things that before I forget, I wanted to get to is that from what I've learned is that the more you think about something, the more it reinforces the belief.
Absolutely.
You talked to me before, and nothing against traditional therapy.
No.
Right? Because people, it's beneficial for a lot of people.
Yes.
But I'm of the belief that instead of dwelling on what happened in the past and rehashing that, because what does that do? That activates all the other vibrations.
Right.
Where you feel horrible.
Right.
So you're perpetuating you feeling horrible versus being like, okay, we understand that happened. What's the bounce off point? That doesn't define you. Whatever that was, that doesn't define you. Let's set a new identity and move forward. Yes. So I really love that. I didn't know hypnosis did that.
It was one of the, can I?
Yeah, because
because
you would just be reliving it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And if you keep reliving it, you can't create a new identity.
And you're never going to be able to step out of that. But that actual step is simple and it's easy once everything comes together. It's not, that's the one thing that hypnosis has reinforced me, that it's never too late. You know, to make you can always make a positive. Obviously, like we discussed earlier, the longer you wait, the more you're stacking the odds against you and you're making it much more difficult. But you can always make progress. One of the first lessons for me in hypnosis, I used to have a terrible problem procrastinating, and it affected everything. And the gentleman who trained me about how to hypnotize people asked me how I was having the conversation with myself. You know, when I say, well, I want to get better. And I said, well, I ask myself why I procrastinate. And, you know, he got like a knowing smile and said, good. And what kind of answers do you get? I said, well, and I listed all of the reasons that I have this unhealthy behavior. And I'm telling myself that. Well, it's because I do this, because I can't do this, because of, right? And I'm just reinforcing all those beliefs and setting, whatever you want to call it, a vibration. I mean, I happen to agree with you, but I recognize it almost doesn't matter what you call it, your understanding of that. But the more you invest in all those reasons that support the problem, the less room you have to focus on the solution.
Yeah, and I think that we all have stuff that happens to us, which we don't prefer, and that's contrast. But it doesn't mean we have to keep reliving that contrast. The contrast just shows you what you do prefer and what you don't prefer.
Yes.
It's like dating before you get married. Now, I've never been married, almost married, but it's like dating. When you date people, you know what you do like and you know what you don't like. So when you go to the next person, you're like, this is what you already know,
yes.
Right?
Right.
Life is like a buffet. And just because you don't like something in the buffet does not mean you have to throw stuff at that, you know, yell at people because you don't like spinach in the buffet.
Right.
You just ignore the spinach,
right,
and go on to the rest of the buffet.
And find things you do like.
And that's how life is intended to be.
I agree.
Because if you didn't know that there was spinach, then you wouldn't know that there's people who like spinach, what spinach is, right? All this stuff. But I think a lot of times when people have wars against things, drugs, alcoholism, racism, stuff like that, it perpetuates that war.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Versus saying like, I'm going to take control of my life. You do you. And as long as we don't negatively affect each other on purpose,
right,
we're good.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So have you heard that before? When you have a war on this, a war on this, a war on terror, you're just perpetuating more terror.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see it all the time with my smoking cessation clients. I typically do that in 3 sessions, and people are surprised to find out I often don't even use hypnosis until the 3rd one. It's about showing them that they're actually not addicted. And I know that sounds like a huge leap, but we talk it through and we go back and forth. And so much of that is because of that belief. Well, I'm in the car, so I have to have a cigarette. Oh, I just finished a meal, so I have to have a cigarette. Well, I'm addicted. Everybody tells you you're addicted, but you're not.
So another thing that I've learned is that negative beliefs have to reinforce themselves to stay current.
Yes, right. Just like anything, right? Just like a plant or fire, it gathers things to reinforce.
But that belief,
if you don't feed it.
Yeah, but that belief wants to stay.
Right. Absolutely.
Whereas like a positive belief doesn't need to do that because that's the order of the universe. Like everything's good. But again, we're humans. We're having a human experience. Part of us choosing to come down here was interacting with all this stuff.
Right.
You know, and part of that is in order to grow. If you were never uncomfortable, you would never grow.
Yes.
Nobody's coming to me as a martial artist or as a weight loss client if they're not uncomfortable. The reason I started martial arts is I was 8 and we both liked this girl. The kid was older than me. I know what I said. It was report card day. I was like, I bet you got straight F's on your report card. Now, I was like a good kid, but I was always short. He just pushed me to the ground.
Oh, man.
I've never felt more helpless in my life.
Right.
That caused me to do martial arts.
Interesting.
Had that not happened, my whole life would have been different.
Right.
Right. But I felt so uncomfortable. That was probably the lowest I've ever felt, in my life. But that uncomfortableness caused me shape my life. Right. And so, but you don't have to stay in that moment. I don't relive that moment.
Right. But there are people who do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of them unintentionally.
Right. And I think the hypnosis make them more aware.
Yes.
So you can change. Because if you're not aware of it, it's hard to change.
Exactly. Right.
But getting back to this, how did you get into this?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I should have prepared for that. But it's a straightforward. I used to be a very, very heavy sleeper. Like, unbelievably heavy sleeper. I would sleep through multiple alarms when I had to get up for work. I would have
fire alarms or like.
Well, so this is it. So that's where it goes.
You guys go.
So
I'll be here.
I would have alarm clocks across the room and different alarm clocks here. I would sleep through all of them. People that know me used to joke, you could bomb my house and it wouldn't wake me up. And then I got hired for the fire department, and I thought, oh no, I can't. No, I have to be able to wake up if I happen to be asleep at night when a call comes in, obviously, right? So I called a hypnotist. I had no idea what a hypnotist did. I do have a background in a lot of meditation, a lot of sense meditation. I've always been fascinated by the power of the mind, but I didn't really know what hypnosis was. I just
what made you call it hypnotist?
I think back to what I was saying before, and don't do this. I tried everything else.
Okay. Okay.
I don't even know how I found him. I probably just Googled him. Yes. Yep. So we had a brief phone conversation, and I went in and he hypnotized me. And again, like I was saying before, it just got through to that subconscious part of my mind, that part of my mind that knows me best, that wants what's best for me, and ignored all the rest and just said, why don't you want to get out of bed when you hear your alarm? And I fell apart. I was crying. There were all these things that were going on in my life that I wasn't happy with, that I felt powerless to do anything about. And as a result, I wasn't even acknowledging them. I could go on and on about the specifics of what they were, but I was making a lot of bad choices because I was really, really unhappy in my life circumstances. And he brought me out of hypnosis, and I could remember everything that had happened, which is common. It's rare that people forget things in hypnosis, but and I'm sitting there, and he just kind of gave me a water bottle and just didn't say anything and let me sit there for a few minutes and replaying everything that happened. I didn't even know that I had been aware of those things, but it was so obvious. It was the plain truth, and it was right in front of my face. And the universe had been telling me those things for years. I was just ignoring it.
You weren't aware, or didn't want to be aware?
I think I just didn't want to be aware. It was just too difficult. It had become an identity for me that I could tough it out, that it didn't matter about these circumstances, that I could see it through. Instead of just realizing all I need to do is move over here, Well, it was really a few very simple changes. This wasn't, and I did struggle with a couple of them and saw the hypnotist again, and he helped me with that. And it blew my mind. I've always loved helping people. I don't know. It's a problem. Something's wrong.
So you want to pay it forward.
Exactly.
And you saw the effect it had on you.
Yes.
It's the same with the martial arts for me. Like, it shaped my whole life, the discipline.
Yes.
But it's crazy how just one simple question they just asked you opened everything up.
Yeah. And I see it all the time with my clients. I mean, you wouldn't believe it.
But if you weren't under hypnosis and he asked you that question, would you have answered it the same?
No. Okay. I mean, I had been asking myself that question for years.
So it's really shutting off that filter.
Exactly.
And getting there.
Exactly.
Can anyone be hypnotized?
Yes. Yeah, anybody can be hypnotized. That said, not everybody can be hypnotized at any time. Okay.
Explain.
It's a 100% consensual state, right? Like, I can't, it's not magic. It's not, there's no spell casting. Can I tell a funny aside?
Of course.
I got a call a couple of months ago from somebody who wanted to hire me to make her husband quit smoking, and he didn't even know. I was like, you don't know what hypnosis is. But
if she wanted to pay you a lot, you should be like, sure.
Yeah, right. Sorry, your question was, can anybody be hypnotized? Yes, but it is
they have to want
changing
to be.
State. And yes, and they have to want to be. The government has spent millions of dollars trying to find a way to weaponize hypnosis, and they haven't been successful yet. But yes, if they want to be, they can absolutely be hypnotized, and it's not difficult. It's very comfortable. Everybody loves it. When I bring people out, they're like, what should
I expect? So I'm coming to you for the first time. Don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Just saw this podcast, called you up. when I come to see you, what should I expect?
The first thing that we do is a breakdown of your goals. And I like to kind of draw that out for people and not make any assumptions and get people to clearly state their goals in specific measurable ways. And then I firmly believe, I think of it like a map, right? We have a goal, we want to get here. But if we don't know where we are, we have no idea which direction to go in. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up. And I know in my own life, that's where I was spinning my wheels for a long time. I had a clear idea of where I wanted to be, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get there. And it was because I didn't realize where I was. And so that's step two. Step one is identifying the goals. Frequently, that's a specific thing, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just general anxiety or confidence, but it's often very specific. Quit smoking, lose weight, overcome a phobia. That's a big one. So we talk about the goals. And then we do some very gentle hypnosis to explore.
And how do you do that? I'm just laying down, and then you just kind of talk to me in a tone, or
yeah, essentially not laying down. You absolutely can be hypnotized laying down. I don't like to use like a couch or a small bed because it's so relaxing. And in today's day and age, people run around. A lot of people are way more tired than they realize. And you can get people that accidentally fall asleep.
You still charge them?
Oh, absolutely.
Businessman.
Yeah. I tell them it went twice as long.
Turn the clocks.
Hypnosis is not sleep. It is a separate state. It's not terrible if people fall asleep.
Like a trance state? Occasionally. Like a trance almost?
That's exactly what it is. Yep. No, that's exactly. I use them synonymously.
So I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent. So are we changing the brain waves then from like
absolutely
beta to gamma?
Yep. And there's tons of evidence. It's been studied numerous times. You can see it in the brain scans and stuff.
So yeah, I know when people are in the zone, it's like the gamma waves.
Yes, and it's that same thing. Well,
I was saying that's when you are most receptive to your subconscious, your inner being.
Exactly.
Things manifesting.
Right.
Creating the reality that you want.
Exactly. And it feels like you just know things, right? Athletes talk about it all the time. A blind pass or whatever. How did you know he or she was there? I just did. Right? Because they're in that zone. And hypnosis is about sort of turning that lens inward and discovering those things.
So it's really be self-aware.
Yes. Yeah.
So getting back. So now I'm sitting up straight.
Yeah.
What do you do?
It's like a small lazy boy. I do have them recline if they want to. There's a couple chairs that people can choose from. The actual process is very casual. I tend to use. There's lots of ways to put somebody in hypnosis, and there's no right or wrong way. It's a very personalized thing, and that's a huge thing for me with Wild Solutions. It's always about a personalized solution. I'm sure it's the same for you, right? You don't give everybody the same exact plan.
No, you basically customize it to them based on where they are.
Yes.
And their goals.
And so I do the same thing with their induction. For example, some people who are very analytical aren't prone to success with a certain kind of induction. For example, there's one called the blackboard induction where I talk the person through visualizing. They write the number 100 on a chalkboard and erase it, and write the number 99 and erase it, and those numbers go away. Right? But if the person's an accountant or a banker, that's probably not going to work.
Stress inducing.
Right? Yes, exactly. So it is personalized. But yeah, it's all just conversational. It's verbal. A lot of hypnotists do like to use some touch, just touching a shoulder or the top of the head because it stimulates the nervous system. There's a point right before hypnosis where it's easier to get somebody to actually go into hypnosis the more distracted they are with senses. I personally don't like to touch people. It's just something, so there's no touch involved. They just sit in the chair. And I use typically an eye fixation technique, which is very, very old. It's a common thing in hypnosis. And they stare at a particular point on the wall. We dim the lights and make sure they're comfortable. And they stare at a particular spot on the wall that they choose and just let their attention be absorbed by it. And I just continue to talk. And eventually their eyes will begin to feel not like you're getting sleepy. It's nothing like that, but eventually...
You don't use the clock?
I don't.
Okay. I mean, it'd be cool if you did, I think.
I've actually thought about it. No, I really have. Because it's based in science. Hypnotists did that for a long time. One of the signs of hypnosis that I look for, because I don't have a way to measure people's brainwaves in my office, right? So I need to look to their body and their physiology for signs of trance to make sure we're ready to go on. And one of them is an eye movement that's very similar to REM movement. It's back and forth. And a very famous hypnotist a couple of years ago, James Braid, realized that things that are signs of trance will also cause trance. So because the eyes are going back and forth when somebody is in trance, if you can get their eyes to go back and forth like that, it will help you put them in trance.
Kind of like when you're driving late at night, you're just looking at the lines.
Yes, okay. Exactly.
That makes sense.
And another important thing too, just about hypnosis, by the technical terms of it and trance, we're all in and out of hypnosis hundreds of times a day. If you've ever gotten home and not been able to remember every little turn, they call it highway hypnosis. You were just, and again, it's your subconscious who's taking care of it, while your conscious mind is saying, I forgot to stop at the store and I need to call so-and-so and I have to remember to go to the bank. And your subconscious is driving the car. But when you first learned to drive, that was all your conscious mind, right? And so that's that natural progression that slides in. Obviously, if a deer jumped out in front of your car, you would snap too.
Right.
But if everything is fine, you don't even notice.
So is there a place for meditation and hypnosis, or are they similar? How are they different?
Experts disagree. I am actually in the process of transitioning. I've had a meditation practice for many, many years, and I'm transitioning to self-hypnosis. I think the biggest difference, and self-hypnosis is very real. It's very possible. People have a great deal of success with it. I think because I'm a hypnotist who's used to hypnotizing other people, it's a little difficult for me to separate those parts and be on both sides of it, if that makes sense. There's a bunch of great books that people can buy to learn self-hypnosis. But to me, the biggest difference is that it relies on the help of another person. Where meditation is something where you can go work alone. Personally, and everybody that I speak to about it who's experienced self-hypnosis or hypnosis, it is so much faster to get to that state. Whenever I try to meditate, I end up, frustrated, and it's just all these thoughts and they're chattering. And hypnosis is just such a great, boom, you're out of it. You're right there. It's like skipping the hard part. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. You get to skip the hard part.
And it's what works for you.
Right. Exactly.
And I think, so for me, I've learned that meditation is to be used. You have to visualize, right? Because when you visualize your goals, you get everything correlated to kind of work together. But really using meditation when you're in that state of contrast, when things aren't going well, to quiet your brain down.
Yes.
I'm usually pretty excited throughout the day. So it's hard if I'm ready to go. Like, first thing I do is go to the gym. It's sometimes challenging to slow my body down and meditate, right? But I've actually learned that it's much better if you are in that state of excitement. Excitement is a complete kit that gives you everything that you need.
Right.
Go do it.
Yes.
The excitement, you ever hear like the hell yes or the hell no? Well, if it isn't a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Right.
Right. So I'm so excited to go to the gym, then I can't be like, I need to meditate real quick. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're stressed out, then you can meditate whenever you want. There's benefits. But for me, then I can meditate and try to clear my line a little bit. Try to get the momentum away from that negative thought.
Right.
And reset.
Yes. And that's another important difference, at least in my mind. I find typically when I meditate, I'm meditating on something. There's a focus, which is very beneficial for a lot of reasons. Generally, hypnosis by itself doesn't have that focus. It's like being in that state, but blank. Okay. And then, of course, you can choose to focus on something, but it doesn't require that.
So the last question I always like to ask is, there's somebody who's watching this right now.
Yep.
Who wants to change their life.
I hope so.
What's the first step that they should do?
I think the first step is to take a look at what works and what's not working. And
in your life.
Yes. And I know this is an enormous oversimplification, but to do more of what's working and less of what's not. And I know that's a huge oversimplification, and it's way more difficult than that. And it's complicated. We all have our personal baggage and reasons and attachments and filters. But I think at its core, that's what it comes down to. And I think it's important to remember that it's good to get some help once in a while. I feel like we have this strange idea that there's a connection between strength and independence, or it does strengthen us to get help from people. Like I don't have the fitness and the knowledge that you have. It strengthens me if I come and see you and you impart some of that wisdom on me. I'm not worse off. I feel like we carry this belief that if we need the help of other people, we're somehow weaker.
Personal help.
Yes.
Yeah, because if I wanted to build a house, I'm going with a contractor.
Right.
I'm not trying to do it myself.
Right. There's certain parts of life where it's very natural, and in other parts, it's crazy.
Yeah. So it's not a self-admission of being less than if you need help.
Right.
It's really about strengthening yourself and becoming a better you.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell them how people can find you, your website, stuff like that.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So I'm at www.wildsolutions.com. You can find my email address there. It's matt@wildsolutions.com. And I'm right in the Warwick Medical Building at 400, right by the Warwick Mall.
That's my allergist.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
I'm just telling myself I don't have allergies right now, just so you know.
Good. Is it working?
I just started just now.
Oh,
so
all right.
I'll let you know. I feel a lot better.
Excellent.
But no, I appreciate that. I hope that people have a better understanding of hypnosis. I surely do.
I hope so.
Right?
That is like my biggest goal. There's so many misconceptions out there, and it's terrible because it's such a valuable tool for helping people. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, I do want to say a lot of the great information that we knew back in the day, centuries ago, thousands of years ago, has gotten lost.
Yes.
And a lot of it's more focused on the physical, the technological, instead of spiritual.
Yes.
Right. And we're just spiritual beings.
The hypnosis was sort of demonized in a way, but only when medication got to the level of being able to sort of provide some of those things for us. Until then, it was common knowledge. People in most towns could hypnotize somebody to do dental work or anything.
So I hope that people definitely find this helpful. Seek you out if they need it.
I hope so.
And then, if they do, we'll get them on this podcast and then we'll talk about it.
Oh, that'd be great.
All right?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
My pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure was all mine. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, Dr. Marc here. Now I know a lot of you want to know how we get all these amazing results with our clients, and it comes down to 3 things. The first is fun fitness classes that burn a lot of calories. 2 is giving you an accountability coach to make sure you stay on track and get the best results. And 3 is the nutrition. Included in the nutrition is our food supplements. So we pair with Prestige Labs because I feel they're the best, they have integrity, and they get great results. These are actually the supplements that I take as well. Here's the awesome part. By clicking the link below, you can save 40% off the retail price. So you need that link to actually save 40%. If you just go to the normal site without my link, you're paying full price. Okay? So these are the supplements my clients use. If you are interested, definitely click the link below and it'll tell you all about them.